Hello, welcome to NOLA Stamping. I'm Barb Baldwin, and this month we're playing around with Waterfall cards, a cascading card that is a great fun fold. You may have seen Christina's video on the basics, so we're going to go ahead and do that, but turn it on its side. So let's go ahead and cut some paper. So we're going to need some pattern paper. You'll need two pieces that are 4 inches by 1.5 inches, and then one piece that's 4 inches by 1 3/4 inch. So I'm using some Lovely Blossoms paper that was a paper pack from the January online exclusives. So go ahead and use what you have. This will be for the decoration on the front of the card. I just really like that paper. Okay, so we'll also need some white cardstock. I need a piece that is about 1 inch and a piece that's 3/4 of an inch. And you don't need more than about 3.5 inches or so, but I didn't cut it down because I'll cut it down later. And then the last piece of pattern paper that I'm using is this wood textures paper. That's a March online exclusive, and I really like it. It's like a bunch of different wood textures. And so this is going to be the mechanism that makes the waterfall work. So I'm cutting a piece that's 1 3/4 of an inch wide, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to score it at 2.5 inches, 3 inches, 3.5 inches, 4 inches, 4.5 inches, as many flaps as you want. And then I like to cut the mechanism later so that it fits perfectly in the card. So I just cut a strip off of the 12 by 12 paper. Okay, so we've done the score marks, the 2.5 inch, 3.5 inch, and then just go ahead and take some tear and tape and run a strip right up underneath that the little score mark. And since the paper's kind of dark, I always find it easier to just go through the score marks. They're all going to be folded anyways, so just go through and just move the paper and then add the tear and tape. Move the paper, add the tear and tape. It just makes it a lot easier, and then you get your tear and tape in. You get the adhesive in the right spot anyways. So you don't want to tear off the release paper yet. We'll do that in a few minutes. Instead, let's get stamping. So this stamp set has kind of a cool, like a bunch of little like scenes, like a little tiny negative or something for my camera. So I'm going to take that strip, the 1 inch strip, and I'm just going to stamp a bunch of those in that pecan pie color. I really like using the little Stampin dots. I find that they're pretty easy to like get the color, like especially like with how small these stamps are. It really helps out getting the color right to where you want it to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp all of them. I did just sort of mess up on just the outline. Trying to get it centered in the space was a little challenging for me, but finally got it. But then I'm just trying to make it even in the space because we're going to trim these down and use the sides so it looks like a little tiny photograph or something. So I'm going to grab the real red. I really like how the real red goes along with the pecan pie brown color. And it ties into like all of the wood grain textures. And so I'm just going to use the red and stamp a couple of things. There's a cute little heart looking good. And then we're going to grab that other 3/4 of an inch wide piece and we're going to cut out like the back of a negative. And we also need a piece of white that is about 1.5 inches tall. And that's where we're going to put the sentiment for the card front. So I'm going to stamp that in red. And then I'm going to take the little stamp dot and just put a little bit of brown on the bottom just for a nice little ombre effect. And the brown and the red really tie in together, so it'll look just kind of textured and neat together. And one little bit of stamping left to do. We're going to do the inside of a negative sort of strip. And I'm just putting photo op and then like two little hearts. So the teal strip is an extra one left over. I use that just for the spacing, just so in case I get red ink on it, I don't want to be that's the one to use. Okay, I just wanted to show you the Wood Grain Wonders paper and the stamp set that I used. I really like that little bundle. I think it is adorable, and it's got so many different uses. I keep going back to it. So I cut out off screen a bunch of the frames. I think that the little like frame tag sort of looking thing is actually like a part of the camera, like when you assemble the camera together, but this fits perfectly, so why not use it for that? So I used my Stampin' Positioner I just I cut out the negative spaces of some of the pieces and parts, and then I just have them like washi taped down onto that Stampin' Positioner, and then I'm going through and using that pecan pie stamp dot and the ink dot, and I'm just going in and filling in those two stamps, and then you get it lined up perfectly every single time with the positioner, so like that's kind of cool. And then I'm just going through and stamping all the ones that I had cut out. I'm using the textured paper because I really like how it gives you a little bit of a pattern behind it, and it's always fun to stamp on pattern paper. So let's go ahead and start putting this card together. So I grabbed just a regular card base. It's a white 8.5 by 5.5, folded in half. So that's going to be an A2 card base. And then we're going to take the two pieces that are 4 inches by 1.5 inches, and we're going to go ahead and adhere them to that card base front. But we don't want to do that third piece that's 1 3/4 inch wide. We just want to do the two first, and then we're going to go ahead and build the mechanism that will do the waterfall part. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab that piece that's 1 1/4 inches, and it's got all of the 1/2 inch with the tear and tape on it. And then we're going to go ahead and attach the back end of our little fun camera things. And I cut them out of a bunch of different types of the wood textures, just because I thought it would be kind of fun to see the different colors. So I wanted to put the two dark colors towards the ends in the middle, and then I'm going to do the lighter wood color at the very front, just so then it pops a little bit more on the card front. And I'm just peeling that release tape, and then attaching the little camera thing, and then that is it. So you can put as many as you want. I put 5 just for fun. And just check your mechanism, make sure that it kind of goes. And let's do that next part. So I am cutting down the negative strip that goes behind the that negative thingamajiggy. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive to attach it to the back. And then we're going to set that aside while the liquid adhesive dries. And then we're going to attach it to that card front as a little bit of a decoration. And since it's got some liquid adhesive on it, I'm just putting it on my silicone mat to dry for a minute while we work on the rest of the card. Okay, so this is kind of important. We're gonna add adhesive to only the 1/2 inch that's like right at the end of that like little mechanism strip. And we're gonna attach it to what would be on top, the decoration for that card base. And I'm keeping it about 1/2 inch from the bottom. You honestly can put it where up and down on the card front where you want it, but leaving that 1/2 inch, and you want to make sure that that mechanism can slide back and forth on the card front. So I'm using some tearing tape just so then that way the adhesive doesn't like move around or I get it in the wrong spot or something. Like the tearing tape will just really make sure that you get it into the right spot. And so like I've got the 3 little pieces of tearing tape there, and then I'm going to flip it over and attach it to the card front. And that's how the mechanism will work for that waterfall card. So let's go ahead and grab those little pieces. And like I said, they're squares, so they're pretty easy to work with. So I'm just trimming them down so that they look like little postcards or little fun little pictures. And squares, so easy. I love it. Uh, so you can take your pick of what you want on the front, but I'm gonna put the looking good because I think that's super cute. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and put one of those little pictures on each one of the little camera flappy card things, the mechanism. And that way they'll sort of like pop out as different, like it's an album or something. And so I thought that was a kind of a fun little camera inspired thing to do. And so our negative strip has dried. So let's go ahead and attach that to the card front. And then all that's left is that sentiment. So that's finished drying. So I'm going to trim it down to just like right about the right size for that sentiment. And then I'm going to dovetail the side just using my scissors. So I'm going to cut it down and I snip in at about wherever the halfway mark is, and then slide in from either side, creating that dovetail. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to like lighten it up a little bit. And I'm going to use the big Stampin' Dimensionals to attach that to that card front. There's just one little spot left, and that's perfect for what we're going to do there. And the last little bit is to trim down the pole. And I'm going to do the same thing and make a little dovetail there. And I was thinking, always need to embellish, right? So I've got those little cameras, we stamped them. I want to use it. So I just put it on the inside. And then I'm using some flat matte dots. And I kind of want to like bring attention to the pole. It would be great if we had a stamp that said pull or something. So I might have to look into like finding something like that that'll work for me. But I feel like putting the little matte dot on there like brings attention to it, and somebody will be like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do with this?" Pull, pull. And I love having just the 5 things on there. And that is the waterfall card. I really like how this one came together. I love the little camera stamp And I love being able to use the same images like in a different way. So I can't wait to see what your card looks like. Don't forget to go onto the Facebook group and share them. And don't forget to stay crafty.